Hi, welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Today, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful paper rose. It's so easy to make. I'm going to show you that you can make one that's a little bit larger, like on the right-hand side here, or one that's a little bit smaller and tighter, like what I'm showing you here on the left-hand side of these roses. Either way, you're going to make them the exact same way. It's just a matter of how loosely you go ahead and put your roses together. To begin with, we're going to use some of these coffee filters that I purchased at Walmart. And you're going to need 9 of these coffee filters. So let's get started. We're going to take our first one and we're just going to go ahead and fold that coffee filter right in half, making sure it's all lined up nice. And once it's folded in half, go ahead and fold it in half one more time. And once that's done, again, you're going to fold it in half another time. So you're folding it in half 3 times. And you're just making sure it's all lined up and that you're folded nice and sharp on all your creases there. Just like that. Now you can see here when I open it up that you can see where it was folded and folded. And if we open it all the way up, here's our full coffee filter. We just folded it in half. We're going to fold it in half again, and we're going to fold it in half the third time, just like that. And we are going to make 7 pieces like this. So let's make one more. We'll go ahead and use our coffee filter, and we're going to fold that in half, just like this. And now we're going to fold that in half one more time. Good. And now we're going to fold that in half one more time. Just like that. Perfect. And now, again, I'll just show you one last time here. When I open these up, you can see that this is the full coffee filter. Then we fold it in half, and in half again, and in half again. Now you're going to do that 7 times, just like I did here with these. Now let's set those off to the side, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with our next ones. Take another coffee filter and again, fold it in half, just like what we're doing right here. And again, we're going to take and fold this part in half again. And we're just making sure everything's all lined up nice and even. And now this time, what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in thirds. So we're going to take this side and we're going to just eyeball it about a third of the way and go ahead and fold that into a nice sharp fold. Just like what we're doing here. And like I said, you can just eyeball it. And now fold your last third towards you, just like that. And now it's folded in thirds. You can see the 3 different parts here. And if we opened it up, it'd be in half, and then here's our full thing. So again, it's folded in half, and then we're going to fold it in half again. And at this point, on this, we are going to fold it into thirds. So we're going to just eyeball it and fold it into a third, and then fold that last third back towards us until it looks just like this. Now we need 2 coffee filters that are folded in this way. So we're going to go ahead and do our last one. So again, we're going to take and just fold that coffee filter right in half, matching up all our sides so it's all nice and even. Now it's folded in half, and let's fold it in half one more time. Just like that. And now we're going to fold it in thirds. So again, just eyeballing it, we're going to fold this bottom part up 1/3 of the way. And I'm sorry it's a little washed out there. And now we're going to take that last third and just fold it back towards us. And lining that all up. And now pressing that and making sure that is all good. Just like that. And there's our two like that. Now we have all the coffee filters folded that we need. Now we're going to take these two that we had folded in thirds, and now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to round the top of our coffee filter so it looks more like an ice cream cone. So we're just going to go ahead and cut right around the top, and we have both of those coffee filters right on top of each other. That way we know that they are going to be cut exactly the same. And that is going to make the petals of our rose very uniformed. Now there are our two that are cut out nice and straight. And now when we open these up so that they're only folded in half once, you see that center crease right down the middle? So you will have 3 petals on each side, or 3 humps along the top on each side. We're going to cut right down that center crease, just like that. So that way we end up with 2 petals with 3 humps on it. Now we're going to do it to the same one. We're just opening up that other one that we folded in thirds and cutting that right down the center as well. So we have 3 petals on each side of where we're cutting. Just like that. And now we have 4 pieces total like this. Now we're going to set those aside, and now we're going to take all of our other ones, which there should be 7, that have been folded and then folded again and folded again so that they were folded. These are all folded in half 3 times. And we're going to take just one of these, and we're going to cut this also into an ice cream cone shape, just like that. Now we're just cutting one of these at first. Now once we have that first one done, we're going to lay the first one that we cut out like an ice cream cone on top of our second one. And we're going to use the first one as a template and cut the second one right along the first one so that it looks exactly even. Just like that. Now we're going to set the new one that we cut off to the side, and we're going to keep our same template and cut each one of them with the same template now. This way it will just make all of these larger ones uniform in size as well. The reason we're not cutting a bunch of these at once is because the more you cut, the more chance they have of getting a little off. Now with these, we're going to open them up, and you'll see a heart shape. And then when we open them all halfway up, you'll see 2 hearts. We're going to cut those 2 heart shapes right apart, right down that center crease, until we are left with 2 hearts, which will just be our once folded coffee filter. So here we'll open it up, and you'll see we have 2 heart shapes. We're going to cut that right down the center until we have 2 heart shapes, just like that. And now we're going to set that off to the side. And we're going to do that until we have them all cut. And there should be 14 of these once they're all cut apart, because we had 7 that were folded in this size. And there we have our nice stack of hearts here, which are going to be another set of our petals. And then here is our smaller stack with our 3 humps on it, or our 3 petal humps at the top. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these with the 3 humps on it, and we're going to fold that bottom up about a 1/2 inch, just like that. And I'll try and get this where you can kind of see it a little bit better. Yep, just like that. We're just folding that up about a 1/2 inch. You don't have to measure it or anything, just eyeball it. And then fold it about another 1/2 inch up. So now you have 2 folds at the bottom of this. You can see it was folded once and then folded the second time. Now go ahead and all 4 of these that have the 3 humps along the top, fold all 4 of them like that. Fold it a 1/2 inch up, like there, and then fold that one more time a 1/2 inch up, just like that. And we'll just go ahead and do all these ones together. Since there's only 4 of these, it's a 1/2 inch up, and then fold it again, another 1/2 inch up, and we'll set that aside. And here's the last one. We'll just go ahead and whip this off. It's a 1/2 inch up, and then fold it again a 1/2 inch up. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is I have this wire. It's 12 inches long. It's just 26 gauge wire. If you have a thicker wire, that's great, no problem. If you just have a really thin paddle wire like what this one is, just go ahead and make it about 12 inches long, and then just fold it in half and go ahead and put your finger in it and just kind of twist your finger around like this. It will kind of wrap your wire around itself, make it a little bit firmer, and that way that can just be kind of the stem for our rose here. It'll just give us something to hold on to. And then later at the end, if you want to put a thicker stem on it or something, you can. This is just going to give us something to kind of hold on to as we are making our roses. Now we're going to take 2 of our petals that have the 3 humps on them. We are going to actually open those all the way back up, and right at that top crease, right in the center, we are going to just take a thumbtack or a needle or something and poke a hole in there. All we're doing is putting in a hole in so that our wire can fit down in there, just like this. And when you get your wire most of the way down, just go ahead and curve that wire over, kind of make it into a little hook, just like you can see me doing there, just so it can't pull all the way out. And that is going to be the stem of our rose. Now just holding that hook down right there, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to grab a little hot glue, and we're going to just hot glue that little piece of wire there so that it can't move around. And it'll just make it easier when we're trying to hold our stem and make our flower. It will be holding that nice and tight. And then just go and fold your paper right back up, fold the bottom of your petal right back the way it was, a 1/2 inch up, and then the other 1/2 inch up until it's right back the way it was. Now here, don't forget, you do have 2 of your papers right on top of each other while you're doing that part. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take, and from one side, we're going to do a little fold and another little fold. Now from the other side, we're going to do one little fold and then one more little fold until there's a little space right in between them. And then we can fold those 2 right together, and that's going to make the center of our rose. And I'm sorry about the lighting. I know it's getting a little washed out, but I promise in just a minute you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Now here, I'll show you this again. We're just going to fold once and fold twice on each side. Fold once and fold twice on each side. And you see there's a little gap in between them? We're going to go ahead and put a little hot glue right in there. So then when we fold the 2 sides together, they'll just stick together. And now we're just going to pinch those 2 sides together, just like that. And you don't need a ton of glue down there, but you want just enough to hold it. So if you didn't put enough glue, go ahead and just add a little bit more. That's fine. You can see that I'm doing that right here. I'm just doing just the lightest amount of glue right there. This is going to be the very center of our rose. And you're just pinching those together. And now what you're going to do is our last two petals that have the 3 humps on it, we're just going to take, and at the bottom there, we're just going to kind of make a little zigzag kind of pleat right there at the bottom, as you can see that I just did, and then pull it apart just a little and put a dab of glue in there so that little zigzag pleat will just kind of hold together, just like that. Perfect. And now what we're going to do is we are going to end up hot gluing that right around the bottom of our rose. And we'll put it on there just like this. Now that you see what we're going to do, we're going to take our hot glue and we're going to line our hot glue right across the bottom of our paper here. We're just putting a nice bead of hot glue right around the bottom of our paper. And right where we left off, we're going to put that at the back of our paper of our next petal here. And now we're just going to wrap this paper right around, all the way around, just like that. And just kind of pinching the very ends here. And now with this last 3 humped paper, or this 3 petaled paper, I should say, we are again just going to make a little pleat right there at the bottom. And again, we're going to go ahead and put just a little dab of glue right there so it holds that pleat together. Just like that. Good. And again, we're going to go ahead and put a bead of glue right along the bottom of our petal there. Just like that. And now where we left off on our rose, on our last petal, we're going to put that at the back, and we're going to wrap our new petal right around, all the way around our rose. And we're just wrapping this one a little bit tight, because with like a real rose, your center pieces are always a little tighter than your outside pieces. They get a little bit more loose and a little bit more full as you go. So these center ones are a little bit tighter. They don't have to be extremely tight, just a little bit. Now we're just going to hold that, and there you can see that's what the center is looking like. And now we're going to take all of our pieces that we've had folded into heart shapes, and we're going to fold that just once, about a 1/2 inch up, and now we're going to put a bead of glue right across the bottom. And you can see this is only folded once up, a 1/2 inch, with the bead of glue going across the bottom. And now we're just going to wrap that right around the bottom of our rose. Now, if you want a really tight looking rose, you can wrap them a little bit tighter. If you want a very full and loose looking rose, you can wrap these very loosely going around the bottom of your rose. And if you want something in between, start out with the centers a little bit tighter, and then as you keep adding your petals on and on, just to do them a little bit looser each time you go. And that's what I do on this rose. Now where you leave off, that's where you want to go towards the back. And you want to try and just kind of stagger your petals, just like a real rose does. So all your petals aren't exactly right on top of each other. And I'll show you that a little bit more on this one. Let me fold this a 1/2 inch up. And again, we're going to go ahead and take our glue, put a little bead of glue all the way along the bottom of our paper. Just like that. And now where we left off and where that kind of dips down from the last petal, we are going to go ahead and put that portion towards the back, right where this petal starts. so that it's kind of staggering the petals. So all your petals aren't exactly right on top of each other, but they're a little staggered just like a real rose would be. And again, we're going to fold this a 1/2 inch up, put a bead of glue right across the bottom, and now as we start doing some of these outer petals, you're going to see that they're not going to be wrapping around our rose quite all the way. They're going to get looser and looser because they're not going to fit all the way around. So where we leave off, there's going to be a gap where that petal leaves off and where the beginning of that petal started. And that's the part you're going to be covering with your next petal that you add on. And you will have lots of these little wispy hot glue pieces. They drive me crazy, but hot glue is such a blessing, so I'm not going to complain about all those little wispy spiderweb pieces. Now you can see I'm just starting at the back where I left off with my last one, and I'm going to loosely wrap that around the front. Let me get this back down here where you can actually see it. And you can see how our rose is starting to come along there. And we are just going to keep continuing with this process as we go, doing the same thing. And I'm sorry for all you who were expecting me to get this video out a little bit earlier. I had every intention of doing that. This whole virus thing has just kind of thrown everything off a little bit. But I was able to get it up today. So hopefully you're all staying safe and healthy and all your families are staying healthy. Just be safe out there. Now you can see again, we just wrapped this one nice and loosely. I know in the big scheme of things, this doesn't really mean much, but hopefully this will just take your mind off from everything else that's going on and just give you a little bit of enjoyment. These are so easy to make. I've made these with my nieces before, and this is something that kids absolutely love making. It's really quick and they're beautiful. And this is something even young ones can help you fold the papers and just really help with this project. And these are just beautiful when they're done. You can do a whole bouquet with these. And another thing that you can do with these, if you would like, is if you want colored roses, you can soak your coffee filters in food coloring, or you can just dip them in food coloring, the ends of them in food coloring. There's so many different ways that you can color these. Now I'm just doing plain white roses right here, but they look absolutely beautiful if you soak them in a little bit of red food coloring to turn them pink, or a magnitude of colors. It's so pretty. Or if you just dip the very tips, you can do that too and make just the tips and make it variegated as it goes down the rose. So there's so many ways that you can play around with doing this. Now again, we're just folding that a 1/2 inch up, putting our bead across the bottom. And at this point, again, we're starting to put these on quite a bit looser than what we were doing in the beginning. And where we left off with our last one, we're making sure that is in the center of the petal of our new petal that we're putting on. And this goes really quick, especially at this point when you're just down to your last couple things. Once you have the hang of this, you can whip off several of these in just a couple minutes. And just like that. And if you would like, you can always also take one of your leftover stems from, like, if you have some leftover stems from Dollar Tree flowers or something, and even once you're done, you can hot glue one of those stems. You can put it right up through the backside by your wire and then hot glue it in and just wrap your wire right around one of those stems. And you can go ahead and use floral tape and tape it all the way from the top of your stem all the way down and make it look even more realistic. So that is completely up to you. Or if you want to use wires like this, it's real easy to just go ahead and curl your wire up and kind of put it at the bottom of your rose. And that's what I did when I used them on my table setting, my paper and plastic table setting that I did. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and leave a link up above here, and you can watch how I use these on one of my dishes on my paper and plastic table setting that I did, and how pretty they look there. Now we only have 2 more petals to go here, and we'll put those on, and then I'll show you what you can do once you're all done with it. And you can see right here how there's a little bit of a gap where our last 2 petals came together, because now they're getting so big that they're only fitting around like half of our rose, where with our first petals they fit all the way around and then could wrap on themselves a little bit. Here you can see we're just covering that part up just like that. And you can see how pretty this is looking. And now here's our last petal. We're just folding it up that 1/2 inch. We're turning it to where we see our gap. We're going to go and put our beaded glue across the bottom. And now we're going to lay this last petal right on there. Perfect. And now let me see if I can't get this in a little bit better light where you can see this a little bit better. And let me show you how we can fold these leaves down, these petals down, to make it look even a little bit more realistic. You can just kind of take it with your finger and your thumb and just kind of gently bend these backwards a little bit, and you can make it look like your rose is just opening up fresh in the morning, and it makes it look so pretty. And these really do tend to start to look very real as you're just bending these leaves back just a little bit. Now you could curl this around like a pencil or something to really curl those leaves. I just kind of tend to use my finger and my thumb and just kind of gently bend the papers back a little bit, just to give it just that little, like it's just early, fresh opening. And here, let me turn this so you can see this better. And there's our rose. Is that so pretty? And it's very quick, very easy. You could use this in a multiple different craft items. There's just so many ways that you can use this. And now you know how I made my roses. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, I really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. Thanks so much for watching.